Alright, welcome back to the 3D Sapiens Road Show. This is going to be the first episode on the education channel. One of the books I'm working on is on education. And basically what I wanted to do with this segment here is just kind of establish my credentials, so to speak, so you know why you might want to believe me when it comes to talking about education. I've also got in my next book coming out, 3D Life in Poetry and Prose, I have a haiku that I wrote about education, which I'll also be reading today. So this is kind of to establish my credentials, but also to show you what I did with it instead of just, whining about it or whatever. So, this is backstory for rough educational scenes. Although written only in the last few years, the next poem is a haiku I had originally wanted to include simply for the sake of variety. The education business had been greatly on my mind during this time because I was in the process of changing careers, getting out of teaching, and getting into writing, publishing, and public performances. After reviewing the last poem and its backstory, however, noticing the common theme regarding societal manipulation running through all of them, I rearranged them into their current final sequence. All in all, it is because we are denied all the knowledge we should have that so many problems exist around the world in the first place. Give the people all the information locked up in corporate safes, behind the doors of the temples where secret societies meet, and in the files of top-secret government black agencies, and the world as we know it would cease to exist. A veritable utopian age would be ushered in. Of course, as I also mentioned in my first full-length book, there will initially be a period of great upheaval and change, which is why one of the quotes I used to summarize Chapter 3, Lackluster Leadership, was Gloria Steinem, quote, "The truth will set you free, but first it'll piss you off." As I pointed out in Chapter 2 of this book, one of the main reasons I got into teaching was because I liked helping others. In particular, I liked seeing a 2T's light bulb go on when he or she finally understood from me what a college professor had not been able to teach effectively. Unfortunately, in education today, there is very little available of that kind of necessary quality time with students, either alone or in small groups. Instead, in reference to the restaurant metaphor used previously, it is more about spitting out nominally educated students off an educational assembly line faster than an E. coli bacteria can replicate on a burger. Even worse, all of society suffers from the metaphorical food poisoning. Furthermore, having been a credentialed teacher for 25 years, it's not like I have not had enough experience in the field. Aside from math and Spanish, the two subjects I have been credentialed to teach, in the course of my career, I have also taught history, English, computers, 3 different science classes, briefly, PE, and several different electives. And as reported in Chapter 7, when I took over the class at LAS, Lahore American School, the scores of the advanced placement calculus class doubled. In addition, I have coached mathematics, soccer, and volleyball teams, in many cases traveling with them to tournaments in other countries, and sponsored clubs where I train students to rappel or play guitar. I've also been a presenter at international teachers conferences a couple of times and helped organize the CISA, Central Eastern European Schools Association, athletic league when I was at American School of Bucharest. I have written several articles regarding education that have been published in international trade journals and had my essay, Risky Business, Extreme Educational Environments, included in the book, A World of Teaching, Personal Journeys Through the World's English-Speaking Classrooms as well. In the course of my careers as student and educator, I have become quite familiar with schools of all types, public or private, stateside or overseas, secular or religious, the whole spectrum of public schools, from small charter independent study programs to larger hybridized programs that function almost like standard public schools, to the impersonal, institutional-sized monstrosity that is the typical American high school. If I have never won any fancy prizes, it's most likely because math teachers seldom win popularity contests with students, and I refuse to suck up to administrators. Neither do they like people around pointing out their many mistakes, even if it is done so only to help improve how the school functions. Nevertheless, I think that the average person would have no trouble assuming I knew what I was talking about when it comes to the field of education. Okay, so hopefully that's the last time I have to deal with that stuff. From now on, it'll be other particular topics I want to talk about, or maybe excerpts from something I'm writing, or whatever. But as I mentioned, the last thing I wanted to do here real quick, this is one of the haikus, and I ended up writing 3 haikus for this book, just kind of for fun. But it turns out they have a common theme, and so it worked out really well. Anyway, so this one's called Rough Educational Seas. Bureaucracy storms. Tsunami of apathy. Ignorance floods all. Thanks for tuning into The Education, and I hope you'll be learning some stuff. Bye.